Hello, this is Pastor Don of Lapine Community Church. I want to invite you on a motorcycle ride with me as I commute from my church office in Lapine, Oregon to my home via some national forest roads. I titled this How I Got This Way from a book by the late outdoor humorist Patrick McManus. I grew up in the small town of Valley Ford, Washington. In the 1970s, it was very rural. Not so much anymore. We attended Valley Ford Community Church, served by Pastor Bob Rush, who along with his wife Marge were village missionaries. More on that organization later. My favorite TV show during middle school and junior high years had to be Chips. In the 6th grade, I purchased an old Honda trail bike and rode all around the woods and cow pastures behind our home, pretending to be Trooper John Baker. My neighbor also rode around with me. He usually pretended to be the bad guy that I had to chase. Not surprisingly, he's done time in federal prison for various crimes, while I worked for over 20 years in law enforcement. And yes, I fulfilled my boyhood dream of being a motorcycle cop. When I was 17 and still a junior in high school, I enlisted in the National Guard in an infantry unit, much to the horror of my mom. After 10 years, I grew tired of sleeping on the ground 1 weekend a month and 2 weeks out of the summer, and eventually switched forces to the Air National Guard. I found myself on active duty shortly after the 9/11 attacks, my law enforcement motorcycle going to someone else for 2 years. I retired in 2009 I retired in 2009 from the Air National Guard while still working full-time as a sergeant in my law enforcement agency. In 2011, I decided to use my GI Bill to fund a bachelor's degree. But in what? I decided to take Bible classes online, as this would force me to really study my Bible, which I had neglected for most of my life. I completed my degree program through Liberty University in 2013 with a bachelor's in biblical studies. It was then I began planning our next phase in life, which did not involve becoming a pastor. As I looked forward to retiring from law enforcement, the last thing I wanted to do was to deal with people on a regular basis. My idea was to find a home in the woods as far away from people as I could be, and finish my last 2 years of work within a 2-hour commute distance. I took my very patient wife Gayleen on several property and location shopping excursions, settling on a potential move to North Idaho, as far north as I could get, preferably near Priest Lake. God, however, had other plans. We attended our country church in Valley Ford one Sunday, and my pastor, Aaron McNally, spoke on the need for ministry couples to willingly serve in rural North America. Mind you, this was not my plan. Ministry involves people, and by then I wanted nothing more to do with broken lives, broken families. You get the picture. Proverbs 19:21 states, though, "Many are the plans in a person's heart, but it is the Lord's purpose that prevails." I laid awake most of the night, thinking about what my pastor had said. At around 2 a.m., I rolled over to look at my wife, and her eyes were wide open. I said, "Are you thinking what I am thinking?" She said yes, and we began discussing this irresistible feeling that maybe, just maybe, God was calling us not into a hermit-like retirement, but into full-time church ministry. We prayed together, then fell fast asleep. Fast forward to the spring of 2014, and we attended the Village Missions Candidate School. Village Missions' official motto is to develop spiritually vital rural churches across the United States and Canada by preaching the Word and loving the people. We were accepted by Village Missions, somewhat to my disbelief. and maybe to the disbelief of some others as well. I retired from my law enforcement job on June 26, 2014, moving 1 month later to Lapine, Oregon, to pastor Lapine Community Church on July 28th. I knew virtually nothing about this small Central Oregon town when we got here. I just knew that God placed us here for such a time as this. There are certainly many more details I have left out. I still get to ride, as you can see, and I live in the woods. Plus, God removed the burned-out spirit for people that I carried and replaced it with one that loves the unlovable and is privileged to see some be transformed by the renewing of their minds, as Paul wrote in Romans chapter 12, verses 1 and 2. I beseech you, therefore, brethren, by the mercies of God, that you present your bodies a living sacrifice, holy, acceptable to God, which is your reasonable service. And do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind, that you may prove what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of God. Now you know some of the story, all true, of how I got this way. Enjoy the rest of the ride, and I'll include a little music here at the end. Thank you.
Like a bird on a tree, I'm just sitting here. I got time, it's clear to see. From up here, the world seems small. We can sit together. It's so beautiful, you and me. We meant to be in the great outdoors, forever free.